The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Ooh, baby, Elias Pettersson, he's back, okay? 9 goals in the month of January. This guy is incredible, almost as incredible as this show right here, Locked On Canucks.
The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on, Canucks fans? Happy Friday and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer for Daily Hive and also your co-host here of Locked On Canucks. Before we dive into the episode, we got to thank you, I'm talking to you, for tuning in to Locked On Canucks. It is your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go subscribe or follow us for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I also got to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDON to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Now, Kyle, hit the music, baby, okay? Because Elias Pettersson is a member of your Vancouver Canucks. Holy hell, he looks like one of the best players.
I'm not going to hit the music. I'm just
right
going to start dancing. I'm not going to hit the music. I'm just going to start dancing.
Unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff. 4 straight games with the game-winning goal, including a beautiful winner in overtime yesterday. And right now, again, this guy's got what? Two 4-point games in his last 3 games. He's got 12 points, 9 goals in the month of January. Unbelievable stuff.
How many goals? How many goals in the month of January? What are you talking? What did you say?
9.
He's got 9 goals.
9 goals in the month.
Isn't it January 3rd right now? Isn't today January 3rd?
It's January 12th. It is January 12th right now.
Yo, he's one of the best players in hockey, and he's probably the best player at hockey right now, right on this wave. The best hockey player in 2024 by far and away. Elias Pettersson is a member of your Vancouver Canucks, which means he's a member of the best team in hockey. That's crazy, man. Friday, the sun is shining. It's cold. It's cold. But last time I checked, I'm hot. I'm hot. If you're a Canucks fan, you're hot too. Again, back in the day, I was never called hot once. No girl has ever... I'm telling you right now, I've been dating a girl for 2+ years, almost 3 years. She has never called me hot once.
Yeah, buddy.
Crazy.
Oh man. Let's get you're a good looking mofo, okay, buddy? I'll let
Dude,
you know
I don't
that
care,
for
man.
free.
I don't care. Yo, bro, here's the thing, bro. I'm a Canucks fan. I'm unstoppable right now, okay? I could be whatever. But this Hindu, he's a Canucks fan. I'm feeling good, okay? Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen, Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day. More importantly, this is the home of the West Coast Bias. Shout out to the Don't Doze Art Lab. Beggsy, man. We got so much to talk about, okay? But before we get into the run and even some more words surrounding Pettersson in this non-contract extension in January, what would you rate that game 1 out of 10 last night?
I mean, I'm not gonna give it a 10. I'd give it probably a 7.5. Okay, because I think the Canucks are still opportunistic, right? They score a few goals in that first period there, thanks to the Lotto line doing their thing. Even in the second period there as well, because the Canucks came into that period 3-1 lead, and they were just firing pucks on net. And Tristan Jarry really shut the door and kept Pittsburgh in the game. But I really like the Canucks. Yeah, Surrey. Really, I kept saying Surrey on the broadcast I was watching. He's really from Delta, though, right? So
come on, you're not one of those guys, man. Come on,
I know
bro.
He's a Delta
There's
kid.
only a small. There's only a small part of Delta, whatever that is. There's only a small part of Delta that doesn't feel like Surrey. I feel like that's Ladner. I feel like everything else is still Surrey, man.
There's North Delta and South Delta. Okay, I got friends in Delta, man,
man.
And they take that North Delta, South Delta recently. Anyways, doesn't matter. Canucks, I would say.
It's like you from White Rock. Remember, you're not from Surrey. You're from White Rock now, right? Come on, Trevor.
Well, no,
I'm technically still in Surrey.
That's what the address says.
Come on,
But yeah,
man.
I thought the Canucks played pretty damn well last night. No, I got so caught up in Petey. I should probably lay out the episode a bit. We did want to talk about Petey, his historic run here through 2024, and his contract. We talked a lot about his contract, so I kind of want to focus on the positives. But there is some news regarding his contract as well. Later on the show, we want to talk about some top 6 targets, and we will end off by previewing the weekend. But again, man, oh man, so caught up in what Pettersson is doing right now. It's honestly unbelievable, man. I wrote a
Is
piece
it?
for
I
Daily
believe
Hive.
it. I believe it, man. Come on, man. It's not
Okay,
unbelievable.
this is
Patterson's
bordering
alien, man.
on ridiculous though. In 6 games, he has 9 goals and 14 points in the month of January. That is unreal stuff. He has game-winning goals in 4 straight games. I think he is the 3rd or 4th NHL player to ever do that. That is incredible stuff from our guy Elias Pettersson. Now, again, there's some negative stuff out there with the contract. Kyle, you might be able to elaborate on this a bit. But again, I'm just enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying Elias Pettersson. I'm enjoying a Canucks team that, against all odds, looks like they're going to push for the Stanley Cup this season.
Okay, look, I'm not trying to be negative, okay? I'm just in love with the Vancouver Canucks, always have been, and right now it really matters. And Beggsy, this player, right? This particular player, to this fan, Kyle Bowen, okay? This 30-and-a-half-year-old man. He means a lot, bro. He means a lot, okay? Because, again, take it back to his first game. That feeling he gave us in his first game. Like, he started the hope train there and then. And now we're seeing the Canucks, transform immediately, quote unquote, to a top-notch team. And I think, again, the West Coast, the best coast of Canada, we got smart hockey fans. This is not luck. This is not luck. Before they were successful, everyone knew that this team had a lot of top-end talent. And now they're winning games, and they're backed by leadership, right? They're backed by Tocchet, Rutherford, Alvin, champions, blah, blah, blah. This is going to last. And again, we're talking about that hope. Now we're feeling a new level of it, and we just want it to last. And that just means contending. So it's important, man, to keep this guy around. Again, I said this team's stacked with superstars. But let's be honest and let's be real. When this guy is on, there's few players that can dictate that fine line, right, between a win and a loss. And Pettersson is that guy. So
He really is. And I think, again, this is a sign that we've had such a good season in Vancouver. But, I think we started the year talking about Quinn Hughes, his dominance, and Quinn Hughes being the Canucks MVP. Then in the middle of the season, we talked about, or the middle of the season so far, we talked about JT Miller being the MVP. Now I'd argue that Elias Pettersson might be the team's MVP. And even when I'm looking at game score average, I know you might call me nerd, but I'm looking at game score average, and Elias Pettersson is now in the top 10 NHL wide. I see him in that Hart conversation now with McDavid, with McKinnon, with Barkov.
What is game score average?
Talk about, okay, no, you know what? Again,
bro, come on, man. I learned how to read at 25. Okay, I need to be told things like 3 or 4 times. So can you go through it again? What is game score average?
Yeah, so game score average basically takes into account a number of things, including what goals you're on the ice for, your assists, shots, hits, all like the raw data like that. But also takes into account kind of like expected goals, how many chances you're on the ice for, some of the more secondary stuff as well, and it encapsulates it all in one number.
Wow.
So that's the game score average. Again, guys are going to be negative some games, guys are going to be positive. I think Elias Pettersson has the best game score among a Canuck player this season at 6.11. It's actually one of the top single game scores in the NHL. God, that was from the Devils game, actually. But again, a lot of it is possession data. So there's 4 Oilers in the top 10, which
my God. Trevor, man, you're nerding out too much right now. The sun is shining, bro. Relax, man. Move your shoulders, man.
Maybe it's because I can't see the sun.
Just move your shoulders. Trevor, do this for me. Move your shoulders. You're 30-and-a-half years old. Okay, show off the bling. That locked on money, right? I've been telling the people, man, that locked on money. Dude, buying necklaces, buying only jewelry, dude, for real. It's crazy, man. We blessed. Relax, bro. Relax. Let me ask you this question. Again, we're bouncing all over the place. It's Friday. Who cares? Who cares? Okay, we've talked a lot this week. I'm just talking to Trevor here. Who has been the Canucks MVP? I know it keeps changing, but I know you said, it might be Pettersson now. Really think about it, because for me, it's incredible how I'm saying this, but I feel as if it's not even close. It's JT Miller, man. I keep changing now, bro. Dude, I wanted to say Quinn Hughes, but I'm like, dude, JT Miller. Not only are the Canucks good, they're pretty swaggy, and they got like the star end players, like the magnificent goals, Pettersson, a swaggy dude, right? Blah, blah, blah. But JT Miller is just so hockey, man. Like he's too hockey, bro. That
Well,
guy,
yeah.
that guy's the guy, man. And he's
Well, that
also
play
30 years old, right? 31 years old, 30 and a half.
he's 30.
So,
He's 30. Well,
yes,
he's going to be
one of us.
31 in March. He's same age as us.
He's a 93.
He's 93. Yeah, March of 93. JT Miller, you're right about him being a gamer, and I love that play last night that you might see. There's a clip floating around of it too, but he goes against Sidney Crosby in the faceoff circle. When the faceoff's done, he just basically like punches Sidney Crosby in the back and knocks him to the ice.
Why not?
I mean, the guy's got grit. He's got game, but Pettersson's got some grit in game too. Like, so I was looking at some of Pettersson's stats year over year, and a couple seasons ago, Pettersson was averaging a block every 2 games, a hit every 2 games. Now he's getting a blocker hit every game, right?
Yeah.
And those hits in particular are way more noticeable than they were in the past. So you've seen like Pettersson and Hughes both level up, right? Pettersson's becoming more physical. Hughes is becoming a better shooter. This team has leveled up all over the place. I think JT Miller is just a more complete player than he was before. Better on the defensive side of the puck. Brock Besser's scoring at a career rate. Like, again, it's easy to get caught up in the hysteria of this, but I'm getting caught up in a bit. Like, I think we're going to talk about this as the season goes on here, but the Canucks are a bona fide Stanley Cup contender.
Dude, they are. Come on, man.
This is not just the Canucks are a cup contender and here's like 12 other teams. Like, right now, the Canucks are one of the best teams in hockey, and I would argue might have one of the best chances of winning the cup. I mean, again, we shout out FanDuel quite a bit on the show. Canucks are still 12th on FanDuel, their betting odds. But you look at Money Puck and the Canucks have the best odds.
At an American FanDuel, America probably. Come on, man. FanDuel, you guys gotta keep a closer eye on the Vancouver Canucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
A, because you're gonna get the facts right. You're a gambling company. You got to get your facts right. And B, they got a lot of Americans on the team. Okay, Team USA over here in Vancouver. It is what it is. It's just the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
The Canucks are. Sorry to cut you off. I did want to say something in regards to the Canucks being like a Stanley Cup favorite and whatnot and doing the most, but I lost my train of thought. I did want to add, though, we're only bringing up the Patterson thing because of that tweet I saw this morning. I think somebody was paraphrasing Rick Dhaliwal, and I think it was Taj, right? And
it was Taj, yeah.
It might be
he basically said,
you want to say it? And bro, after you say the quote, let me know if you want me to shut the F up from now on, okay, about this situation. Because if I'm putting that negativity out there, remember, Patterson was the guy who said, you guys are just talking about it. I don't want to talk contract anymore. And here we are doing it, man. And yeah, just go on.
Well, it's funny, right? Because, you've called me the darkest guy on the program time and time again. Maybe we should leave it up to the commenters who is the darkest guy on the program. But I want to come in today, talk about Elias Pettersson hype. And then you wanted to talk about Elias Pettersson's contract. And here's what Taj tweeted out from what Dhaliwal said on Donnie and Dolly. Dhaliwal said, quote, Pettersson hasn't made up his mind. That's the biggest fundamental issue. Pettersson hasn't told his agent to get the negotiations going. So that's some serious negativity there, man. And maybe we'll end on this, and it's not necessarily negative, but if Patterson does something remarkable, like put up like 120, maybe he pushes 130 points.
Whoa.
He's on pace right now for, I wrote about it this morning, less than 110, but I think it's about 106 or 107, right? So slightly better than last year. But if he continues on this torrent pace, he's obviously going to score, 9 goals every 6 games. But if he continues on this pace, can he get there? Maybe. And does he even come close to threatening what Austin Matthews makes? I don't think he gets there, but I think it's worth a conversation if he continues to produce like this. Because Austin Matthews, I know he's won a heart. I know he's a 60-goal guy. He ain't never put up 120 points in the NHL. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's the truth. And on that Austin Matthews note, yeah, I could possibly see that type of deal being made, like pretty much the exact same thing. But if I'm the Canucks, I'm still like, dude, the team, like, who knows what the final result is, right? But theoretically speaking, like, the team has been successful once, like in a full season. Like, that's bound to happen here, right? Austin Matthews, at the very least, is putting up all these incredible Hall of Fame-like numbers, but his team is also winning year after year after year. You know what I'm saying? Not winning the grand thing, but you get what I'm saying, bro?
Regular season winning.
I think there is some leverage. I know it's just regular season winning, but I feel like the Canucks, because everyone talks about, I had people yelling at me, like, why you keep demanding that this guy gets paid the most? Like, isn't it best if he takes a discount, sets the tone, there's cap room for other things, blah, 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 right? dude, we'll get to the other side, okay? If I go on this ramble, everyone watching Locked On Canucks, thanks for watching. I got something to say. We got to get to ads, or else me and Trevor are not going to be able to buy the bling, okay? It's just the truth. It's just the truth. Begsy, who we shouting out?
All right, let's talk about some top 6 targets, maybe guys to play with Elias Pettersson on the other side. But first, I got to shout out Sleeper. Hey, we're at the halfway point of the season.
A new NHL season brings
Whoa. Canucks fans, your team is one of the best teams in the NHL. But you know what? You could also be one of the best guys out there by playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is my number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. You can make some easy money right now by just betting the over on Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, JT Miller, the Lotto line, doing their thing and recording more, not less, but more for projections like on things like goals, assists, plus, minus, and more. To win a 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. Yeah, the Canucks fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code Locked On NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability.
Okay, we back on Locked On Canucks. My name Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. Man, oh man. All I got to say is this, okay? It's Friday. We're having fun. And I don't know if you ever heard the quote, Beggsy. Have you heard the quote? It's always 420 somewhere. Get what I'm saying, bro? It's been one of those episodes, okay? That being said,
All right.
That being said, we're having fun, man. We deserve this too, man. I was thinking about it a lot on the drive. You know, Trevor, I think about you a lot, okay? One love to you and one love to all the listeners. I was driving to work and I was like, yo, dude, damn, this show sounds a lot different. I know we're having a production meeting on air, but I'm just saying it sounds a lot different. And one thing that was missing was the dancing, bro. I'm telling you, bro. I don't want us to turn into anything other than that delusional fan because I feel as if that spirit that we're given in the summer, again, already saying that the Canucks are going to win the cup is doing something. So let's just, for the rest of our lives, believe that only the best things are going to happen. Trevor, man. Locked On Canucks. Take it away. Oh, no, I got the question, okay? So it goes back to yesterday's conversation. I did ask you the question yesterday. I think the answer changes day by day and with quote by quote. Because again, now we're kind of hearing that Patterson hasn't even, like, he doesn't care. He's just all business. Patterson is all business right now. And in reality, the only business is making sure that this team is still in this moment, not the Canucks in next year, like in this moment are doing whatever it takes to continue to win and fight for that Stanley Cup. Speaking of which, do you think it's not cup or bust, but is it like get to the third round or bust at least to get a long-term deal done with Patterson for sure / save some money? You know, like, is that the standard for a guy who's completely competitive, like super competitive? Like, is 1 year of getting to the playoffs enough to kind of like be his deciding factor? I don't think so, because he's a smart guy too. He knows that teams have to get it done year after year after year. But you know, when a team does get to the third round of the Stanley Cup final, like, that's just a different level of hope. Do you think it has to get there for, again, the Canucks to save any money on what's going to be one of the richest contracts in NHL history? Patterson is in that 0.1%.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a must, like a, third round or bust, or else he's going to be worth like 12, 13 million. I don't think that's the case. I think there's so much that goes into it, right? Like, we don't know exactly what's going on in Patterson's head, right? There's this smoke out here. Dolly Wall's reporting this. JP Barry's gone on this week.
There's that smoke.
There's smoke, but I don't know if there's necessarily fire here. You know what I mean? So okay. I don't know. Like I said, I've been on this show, like, it feels like not a daily basis, but pretty often. Every day, I certainly know this. I'm not worried about the Patterson extension. I do not want to be proven wrong on it, but I'm not worried about it either. You know, this guy's going to make some money. I think it's going to come close to $12 million a season, especially based on the way he's playing. but I think it's going to get done. I don't think it like a long playoff run hinges on it or anything like that.
I'm about to cry, man. I'm about to cry, dude. You're doing the most for me, man, for real. You're the MVP of the life right now that I live. Anyways, let's talk about Rutherford, talking a bit more about the moment, right? The Canucks of today. And 4 minutes ago, I said cup or bust. Hey, like it or not, I think within that organization, an organization that, again, has champions, I feel as if it's okay for them to switch the narrative to, 1 year at a time, let's take the next step to, you know what? There's something in the air. Look at our roster. Let's move like this from now on. And it's cup or bust.
Yeah, and so it should be, right? And I think that's why we want to talk about some top 6 targets. And, kind of a part of that as well was Rutherford said that ideally this team would like to add a top 6 player. And this is from Pierre LeBrun's interview with Jim Rutherford that's now in The Athletic. Interesting that he mentioned top 6 player first. He said the defense has played pretty well, but we'll see, was kind of his answer there. But top 6 guy seems to be the ad here. Now, I did write about it for Daily Hive this week, so maybe Rutherford was checking out my piece, seeing if these guys were available. I'll rip through some of the names to see if, maybe what not even the fan reaction, but just to see your reaction, Kyle, right? It's you and me here. Locked Up Canucks, your team every day. Hit us up in the comments of what you think about these suggestions. I'm not going to mention Jake Gensel. He was already on the list. We've talked about him ad nauseum. Pavel Buchnevich from the St. Louis Blues.
Okay.
Blake Coleman from the Calgary Flames. Frank Vetrano from the Anaheim Ducks. Those are 3 other names on my list. Do any of those stand out to you or interest you at all?
This is where I'm going to ask you about the underlining data for Pavel Buchnevich, because I've seen the highlights, and there's a lot of them. And I've also seen, most of, if not all the games we've played against the Blues when he's playing. And I think up until the games against the Blues this year, he's been like pretty highly noticeable, whether it be by being dynamic or just a complete type of player. But again, I don't know how good he is in the defensive zone. I think I have to ask those questions. I know that plugging in a player to this system that is already firing on high cylinders, like you don't want to ruin the chemistry unless it's a player that's perfectly going to fit. So you don't have the runway to kind of train a player to play that way. So the Canucks need the guy to be, top 6, highly skilled, a dynamic offensive player to some point, but they need that. You get it though. You gotta come back. You gotta skate hard. You gotta play hard, you gotta stay hard. Is he one of those guys?
Hard. Honestly, I think Buchnevich's game has come a long, long ways from when Elaine Vigneault was making him ride the pine, kind of giving him the Kuzmenko treatment to what Talkett's giving him here in Vancouver. Buchnevich, I think his 200 foot game has come a long, long ways. When I watch him play, like to me, they're both Russians, so it's an easy comparison, but think Ilya Mikheyev on steroids. Now, I don't think Buchnevich is as fast as Mikheyev, but he's certainly got more skill. So to me, I think Buchnevich is a really fascinating potential add to this Canucks team. And I don't think the Blues really want to give up on them. I'm fairly confident in saying that he's been their second best player this season behind Robert Thomas. But, the Blues are retooling. Would they take maybe a first round pick and a B-level prospect for him? I think it's a possibility. And I think that's something the Blues should consider. But when I look at some of the other guys on this list too, like Blake Coleman, he's won a Stanley Cup. I know he's a bit older. I know he's with the rival Calgary Flames, but he's been one of the bright spots on that team this season. Now, I know he played on a third line for a Stanley Cup winning Tampa Bay team, one of the best third lines we've seen in recent memory. I'd like to see Joshua Blueger and Garland lined up against Coleman, Gordon, Colton. That line was pretty unreal. Was it Colton? I might be missing up. I think it was Colton. Blake Coleman, again, I think ideally he's a third line winger, but he could easily be a top 6 winger. And the guy also does it all, right? Plays with a ton of grit. He's physical. He's mean. Right now he can score goals as well. So Blake Coleman's a fascinating ad. And then I look at Vetrano and Anaheim. Vetrano as well. He's a bit of a POS. When I wrote this, he had 18 goals in the season. No Duck even had more than 10 goals. So Frank Vetrano knows how to score, and he's on a pretty cheap contract too.
All those things matter. I like all those names. I'm also not going to go out and say that I think the Canucks are going to go for the best deal and try to save the most and still be resourceful. Dude, honestly, with Alvin and Rutherford, I think they're going to do whatever it takes. And if they're going to get a player in return that they believe is like really, really good, a game changer, if they have to give up a first and maybe a second, maybe a first and Podkolzin, right? I think they're going to do it. Now, the only name that kind of makes me stop and feel off, because I don't know if Alvin and Rutherford are completely comfortable with getting somebody like Lekaramaki or Willander off their books. That's not the move. But let's say it's a first round pick and a Höglander to get a more dynamic top 6 guy. That move makes me stop and stare and pray of the opposite every time I feel that, because Höglander, I feel as if is the type of guy that raises his game in the playoffs and is untapped. Like, you're looking at Höglander this
Yeah.
year, he scares me as a guy that is possibly going to get twice as good next year.
Well, I think Höglander too is important to mention. He's cost controlled, right? 2 years, making $1.1 million a season. The guy already has 12 goals at the midway mark. Okay, that's incredible value that the Canucks are going to get a Nils Höglander right now. So, I mean, if they're doing a first and Höglander for anybody, it's got to be Gensel. Like, I don't even know
or
that.
A center, dude, or a center, man. Like,
but what center are you paying that price for? Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't do it for Lindholm. I wouldn't do it for Jenner, a guy who I really like. I mean, that's a high price.
You wouldn't do it for
Crosby.
Lindholm. You wouldn't do it for Lindholm because you can't. There's no chance of extending him, or like he's fallen off. Like, why wouldn't you do it for Lindholm?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, man, it is what
least
it
not
is.
this
Yo, F
season.
the Flames, man. F the Flames, dude. And remember, people,
F 'em.
before we get to break, I'm going to send this message out to the people too, okay? We're gearing up for something big, gearing up for something long, okay? Something long. Stay hard, yo. Right now. In the words of, some people say David Goggins made that up. I think Rick Tocchet made that up, okay? I think Rick Tocchet coached David Goggins, okay? Anyway, stay hard and don't be scared of the Oilers, because there's a 50% chance they're coming in April. Don't be scared. We need that spirit to be full of swag, right? Full of tenacity, full of confidence, man. We got to be the backbone behind the resiliency for the Vancouver Canucks. Speaking of which, that resilience that the Vancouver Canucks keep showing, bro, that is the reason why we're here today. Anyways, Kyle Bowen, Trevor Beggs, Locked On Canucks. On the other side, we're going to talk about the weekend.
Yeah,
you know what? We're going
quickly.
to spend a lot of the time reading the comments too, man. Okay?
Yeah,
Come on, man.
100%.
Locked On Canucks, Kyle Bowen, Trevor Beggs. Who you shouting out?
All right, before we wrap up the show here, talking weekend, talking listener comments, I got to shout out Jase Medical. I know we come to Locked On Canucks to escape from some of the crazy realities of real life, and goddamn is it a good escape right now. But can we just talk for a minute about preparing for real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of one of the worst flu seasons in over a decade. This is scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if Kyle or one of my kids got sick while a supply chain issue kept them from the life-saving medications they needed. Thankfully, I know we'll be okay because of Jase Medical. The Jase case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to any of us. Visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jasemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your first order.
We back on Locked On Canucks. My name's Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. Once again, this is the home of the West Coast Bias. This is also the home of the Don't Doze Art Lab. And Locked On, man. For real, the podcast network doing its thing. Your team every day. Because we like promises, man. I promise you the Vancouver Canucks are going to win the Stanley Cup. Whoa, why are you laughing, bro? Come on, man. Again, let us know in the comments below.
That's a big promise to make.
Who's the darkest guy on the program?
What control do you have over this situation, Kyle?
Belief, dude. Okay, come on, man. Trevor, man. Okay, again, let us know in the comments below who was the darkest guy on the program. It's a safe place. Don't worry, okay? Anyways, let's get to the comments. We got Aaron, bro. Surrey, man. The mayor of Surrey, maybe in the future. You know, they say the future lives in Surrey, right? The future is here. Aaron Gray is part of that statement. He's talking about Jordan Greenway playing what role? I think in the comments they're talking about tenacity, grit, playoff hockey, you know? And is Jordan Greenway an upgrade over a Sam Lafferty, an upgrade over a Niels Höglander in the lineup, right? If he's playing a bottom six role, an upgrade over Niels Amon. Do you think Jordan Greenway, that type of player, himself, is somebody the Canucks are targeting?
I mean, I think they are, just based on the reporting that's out there now. It's interesting that shout out to Aaron bringing up Jordan Greenway, because the Canucks are going to play the Sabres and Jordan Greenway on Saturday here. But Jordan Greenway,
Ooh.
I mean, over 47 games of the Buffalo Sabres, the guy has 7 goals and 14 points. So like nothing that blows
Okay.
you away. So
What's the
it's-
money,
that's
though?
what
What's the
cost is.
money?
I mean, Buffalo,
What's the contract?
he's got 2 more years left with an AAV of $3 million. He actually has a modified no trade clause next season as well. The Sabres, when they traded for him at the deadline last year, gave up a 2nd and a 5th round pick to get him. So I would imagine the Sabres want at least that in return. And I mean, look, Jordan Greenway's got the size, he's got some experience, and I just don't know if I'm not a huge fan of Jordan Greenway. Maybe we're going to watch him a bit more closely, and obviously we'll watch him a bit more closely on Saturday. But I think people are enticed by the size. But I just look at Dakota Josh, and I think he's just like a much better version of Jordan Greenway.
Yeah, I think they're like the fans or just hockey people in general. If we're looking at this team in the regular season, understanding the superstar talent, the championship pedigree, we're connecting the dots. Maybe we get lucky this year, okay? I promise the cup. Yo, it may happen. They can see it based on the superstars, but they do keep in mind that it's different in the playoffs, and this team hasn't been there yet. And I know Greenway hasn't played a lot of playoff games, but that style of player, that type of player, maybe accelerates the comfortability in the playoffs, right? Like plugging those
Yeah.
guys in their lineup. So it makes sense. Let's go to Joseph.
Yeah.
Okay, he's talking about. Oh, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, just quickly on Jordan Greenway, maybe Buffalo broke Jordan Greenway, right? Like he had some pretty good seasons in Minnesota there, kind of producing at a middle 6 rate while being a big POS to play against. So maybe Buffalo broke Jordan Greenway. Maybe who would be better outside of Buffalo?
Boom, bam. I can't believe the Canucks are buyers, man. Holy, man. We're somewhere else in life right now, okay? Something else. How about this comment, okay? From Joseph. Joseph Kramer? Is that the last name? Kramer? Kramer? Kramer. I think, dude, that's a cool name, man. I may name
Well, I don't know, it could be Kramer.
I may name my son or daughter Kramer down the road. Just saying, okay? How about this? Pay them all more, invest in this team, and keep it going into the next few seasons. Okay. That with that being said, people are scared of the depth and the OEL contract kind of just creating chaos, right? You're not going to be able to keep all these guys. You're not going to be able to sign value guys, blah, 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 if you're paying Patterson $13 million, blah, blah, blah. I remember early on in the season and in past years of our conversations, we kept talking about Pettersson being one of those guys you want to keep on your team because he pretty much introduces culture. Yeah, Rutherford, Alvin, Tocchet, Pittsburgh regime, blah, blah, blah. But when your best player on the team, the most talented player on the team, is also the most hardworking and also willing to lay the body, it's not about the money, it's about the culture you want to be a part of. And like the culture that type of individual effort can create. And Pettersson is like this guy's saying, keep these guys, pay these guys, keep them in the room. If we lose a Lafferty, if we lose a Joshua, guys like Pettersson make it easier for those types of players to develop, in my opinion. It's beyond us. In the locker room, it's like we're not hockey players, okay? They create that. It's the truth. It's the truth. You want guys. It's a different level with Elias Pettersson. It's just the truth. Guy's a beast. Guy's an alpha.
100%. But yeah, in terms of paying everybody on this team, I mean, I wish it was possible, but you got to find value contracts, right? And I think Podkolzin's going to be one of them. Maybe RST Baines could be another one. I'm actually going to go see RST Baines live tonight. Listeners, quickly before we get out of here, I got rejected twice this week. I bought Abbotsford Canucks tickets for my dad for Christmas. My dad came back to me and said, you know what, thanks, but I'm too old to go to games, basically, or just doesn't want to be in crowds, blah, blah, blah. So then, of course, when my dad says no, who do I go to? My brother Kyle Bowen, who also rejected. I got rejected twice in 1 week. If I'm not feeling the love, if no one wants to see the Abbotsford Canucks. But anyways, I'm taking my daughter and one of my family friends to go see the Abbotsford Canucks.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. Well, dude, it all worked out for a reason, dude. Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? So you could take care
That's
of
why
me.
I ended on.
I
That's
did
why I
you a
ended on
favor.
that note.
You should say thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle, for not wanting to go to Abbotsford, okay? Not today. One more comment before we get out of here. I've given up on Kuz. Time to trade his ass and get something in return. I don't know, man. You got to keep going with Kuzmenko IMO.
It
Oh,
depends,
Trevor,
it depends what the
man.
return is. Look, what is Kuzmenko going to do for this team in the playoffs? That's my question. Like, under this coaching staff with this team, you're paying this guy $5.5 million. This guy might not even be in the lineup come playoff time. That's the problem. That's the problem with Kuzmenko. I mean, if the Canucks want to be bold, if you get off Kuzmenko and acquire another player worth $5 million who can make an impact, that's enticing. I still believe in Kuzmenko, but if the coaching staff doesn't believe in him, then it's like, what are we doing here?
G. Ellis also says that if Petey gets $12 million for 8 years, is Hughes going to be sour since he's a better player and more valuable? Hughes cares about winning, bro. That's why I'm not worried about these guys, okay? Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen, Locked On Canucks, your team every day, home of the West Coast Buys. Shout out to the Don't Doze Art Lab. Beggsy, sign us out.
My 10-second pregame prophecy is that the Canucks, they're going to beat the Sabres, man. Come on. Are you kidding me? A lot of lying going the way they are right now. They might slow down a bit, but I'm going to say, a goal from Nikita Zadorov is coming up, okay? The former Buffalo Sabre. I'm going to say, Canucks get another five burger on the board. 5 guys, 5-2. Vancouver Canucks. Shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners, the first-time listeners, the new subscribers, and each and every one of you that join us on the live feed. We love all of you. Again, not just the live people, but everybody. We love all of you who tune into Locked On Canucks, your family, and your dogs, too. Kyle, you've been killing it with the post-game shows. Sorry I've been so family busy, man, but you're carrying Locked On Canucks doing 85% of the work here, so shout out to Kyle Bowen.
No.
Next week.
It's 50-50
Next
all the
week,
time,
next
bro.
week,
Us and the people. Come on,
next week, we're going
man.
to be talking about a lot more Canucks wins because they got a pretty soft schedule before the All-Star break. So let's keep it going. The GOAT for Callum. Let's get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That's Kyle Bowen, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Callum Dollywall, man. Change the name, man, if you about it.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On